Unfortunately, we've decided not to accept this prototype, so we're going to have to cancel the order. Huh. At that moment, Liam, was at a loss for what the representative had just said to me. I made a foolish sound in my confusion. What do you mean you don't want it? Just what I said, we don't need this machine, so we're canceling the order, Haga. No, but, when you say cancel, if you could just provide a reason. I said we're canceling, we don't need it anymore, so take it back, Haga. Alright, that's the end of that, Haga. The disrespectful tone and the clear mockery in their words left me momentarily stunned, followed quickly by a surge of anger. Are you really sure about this? You won't be able to take back these words. Haga, saying we don't need something means just that. Anyway, it's cancelled. So, that's that, Haga. The representative walked away without listening to me. I had always found this man disagreeable, but I never imagined he would go this far. Even so, I felt my anger boiling over, a sentiment shared by my colleagues at the company. Liam, let's go. Get ready. If they're set on this, they need to be taught a lesson. Nah. Little did I know then, Johnson's actions would lead to serious consequences for the representative and his company. My name is Liam. I'm a typical guy in my 50s, working as an engineer for a precision machinery manufacturer. I joined the company as a fresh graduate and have been working here for 27 years. Our company's main business is to build custom machines for use in production lines for snacks, cosmetics, and the like, according to our clients' requests. I take on projects brought in by our salespeople. First, I work out the specifications with clients, and then I oversee the manufacturing and delivery process. My hobby was tinkering with machines, so I majored in mechanical engineering in college, where I also obtained a patent qualification. I thought having a patent would make things easier, but working showed me it's not such a sweet world after all. Over these 27 years, I've been molded by my superiors and seniors, learning the ropes and new technologies, day by day, to meet various client requests. Now, with the physical demands of age, it's tough, but being relied on as a veteran and cherished by other employees makes my work and daily life fulfilling. Amongst these days, however, I encountered an unbelievable person, leading to the incident at hand. I had no idea why someone so lacking in humanity was entrusted with the role of a transaction representative. The beginning of this incident was at Sugar Manufacturing, a company with which we had a long-standing relationship. On the day it all began, I was assigned a very large project and headed to the corporation for the transaction. That's when I encountered him. Hey there, I'm Oliver, your new contact at our company, looking forward to working with you. The man who I encountered was Oliver, about 20 years my junior. He was a young and fairly handsome man with an off-putting and casual demeanor. Oliver had taken over as the main contact for our usual transactions after the regular employee fell ill and was hospitalized. Though he was a graduate of a top university and clearly capable, his casual greeting left a bad taste in my mouth. But understanding that everyone has their circumstances, I decided to give him the benefit of the doubt and proceeded with the transaction. The bosses and seniors are also here to support, so if there's anything, just let us know. All right, let's give it our all. Cheers. Despite his informal farewell, I was determined to rely on his dynamism and committed to doing a good job. 3 or 4 months later, the day to check the first prototype arrived. We made sure everything, including the operation check, was in perfect order to complete the project as scheduled. I was supposed to bring the prototype to Sugar Manufacturing's workshop in Nebraska and have Oliver check it. Where's Oliver? Today was supposed to be the day for the prototype check. However, I felt something was off when Oliver wasn't at Sugar Manufacturing's workshop. Upon inquiring over the phone with an employee there, I was shocked to learn Oliver had been suddenly absent due to illness a week before. Though I thought it would have been courteous to inform us of his illness earlier, Oliver did show up the next day to perform the check at the workshop. Just when I thought things would finally move smoothly from here on out. Upon seeing the prototype, Oliver made a sour face and started nitpicking in a casual tone. The size of this prototype is different from what I was expecting. We plan to replace our current machine with this, but it'll leave too much space and look awkward. Hold on, during our meetings, you said a smaller size would be preferable, and specifically requested it. True, I did say that, but seeing the actual thing, it feels different, you know. Also, are there alternative parts to the ones used here? If so, I prefer those. Now hold on, you agreed that, considering your requirements, these parts were the most functional and cost-effective. In this manner, Oliver gave us roughly 20 vague instructions, and thus, the first prototype check was concluded. But it didn't end there. During the checks for the next prototypes, Oliver continued to give vague instructions about changing specifications, sizes, and parts. Amidst these unsettling developments, I witnessed something unbelievable. It was after another day of vague instructions, as I was leaving Suga Manufacturing, pondering what to do about Oliver. Ahahada, this game app is hilarious. As I passed by a room that looked like an office, I heard Oliver's laughter. Peeking into the room, I saw Oliver playing on his smartphone during work hours. Several female co-workers of a similar age tried to intervene, but Oliver nonchalantly brushed them off and then proposed something unbelievable. Don't get so worked up, I'm doing my job, Hada. Hey, how about we all go for an Italian party at that restaurant after work today, Haga? Seeing Oliver laughing and making such an invitation, my head nearly went blank. Months later, as I was leaving Suga Manufacturing, feeling downtrodden after another session filled with vague instructions, Oliver was questioned by his boss, who looked skeptical about the checks. Oliver, with a grin, gave a thumbs up to his boss's doubtful face. All good here. It's been a bit of a struggle dealing with an older guy, but thanks to the manager and guidance from the higher-ups, I'm handling it perfectly, yes. Despite the obvious lack of dedication and sloppy work, Oliver continued to talk big. That night, passing by a restaurant bar near the station, I saw Oliver with several women. Michelle, give me a lap pillow. Oh, found some buns here. Monica and Kristen, I'm gonna eat you up. Inside the restaurant bar, Oliver was enjoying lavish drinks and meals, engaging in indescribable activities with the women. Seeing Oliver's playboy antics firsthand disillusioned me, and I worried if we could really finish the job. Amid these concerns, I decided to consult Johnson, a senior colleague with whom I've had a long working relationship at the company. Johnson, a manager, was surprised by Oliver's behavior but listened to my story to the end. After listening, he crossed his arms and sighed deeply. I had no idea Oliver was such a careless person. We heard from Suga Manufacturing that he was a top university graduate and competent at his job, but this certainly raises concerns. Exactly. Even recently, despite the numerous spec changes requiring additional quotes, he just brushed it off saying, "All good here. Is he really okay making decisions without upper management's approval?" It's possible he's been given full responsibility for the project, but for now, keep going as you have been. I'll talk to the sales department and the president about this, Johnson assured me with those words. Despite my unease, I persevered with the checks, specification changes, and re-estimations, continuing to work diligently as usual. Before I knew it, 3 years had passed. What was supposed to be a one-year project had stretched this long because of our new, frivolous contact person. I hadn't anticipated this. Seeing the situation, Johnson, and after hearing from him, the sales team too, tried several times to discuss the deadlines with Oliver, but he always evasively assured us that things were fine. However, after 10 rounds of trial and error, and incorporating all our knowledge and patented technology into the prototype, Oliver's expression finally changed significantly. "Oliver, is there any problem with this?" No, nothing in particular." Oliver, with a somewhat breathless look, seemed to acknowledge the prototype machine. Whether he had acknowledged it or simply run out of complaints, his attitude was still non-committal. But eventually, he gave the okay, and we began manufacturing the actual machine. "I heard about it, Liam. Great job hanging in there. Tonight, we celebrate at the bar." "Thank you, but it was the result of everyone, including you, manager, lending their support. I couldn't have done it alone." Thus, the 3-year cat and mouse game with our frivolous contact person came to an end. Or so Johnson and I thought, just before tragedy struck. When I went to Sugar Manufacturing with the final specifications and estimate to meet Oliver, he dropped a bombshell. "Unfortunately, we've decided not to accept this prototype, so we're going to have to cancel the order." At first, I didn't understand what I was being told and let out a foolish sound. What do you mean you don't want it?" "Just what I said. We don't need this machine, so we're canceling the order." Haga. Oliver's dismissive, mocking tone threw me into confusion. "Wait a minute, didn't we spend 3 years making this prototype because you needed it? How can you just cancel it without providing a detailed reason?" "Well, that's true, but a cancellation is a cancellation. We don't need it anymore, so take it back, Haga." "All right, that's the end of that, Haga." Again, being dismissed in such a mocking manner made my head go blank, followed by a surge of anger. Before I knew it, words of anger flowed from my mouth. "Are you really sure about this? You won't be able to take back these words." Haga, saying we don't need something means just that. Anyway, it's cancelled. So, that's that, Haga. Oliver walked away without listening to the end of my speech, laughing. I had always felt he was careless and unlikable, but I never imagined he would go this far. Feeling even more enraged, yet knowing I couldn't cause a scene at Sugar Manufacturing, I returned to the company with a heavy heart. Upon my arrival, Johnson and the team immediately noticed my state and rushed over. "Liam, what happened? Was there an issue at Sugar Manufacturing?" "I'm sorry, manager. The thing is..." I hesitated to speak but knew I couldn't keep silent, so I decided to tell them about Oliver's outrageous behavior. "What? To think Oliver would do something so absurd. Hold on, I'll check this right now." Johnson, visibly angered, immediately called Oliver. "Oliver, what's this about cancelling? I just heard from Liam. Could you explain the reason?" Oliver's voice, coming through the speakerphone Johnson had turned on, sounded very annoyed. What do you mean? We just don't need it, so we cancelled it." "So, what's the reason for the cancellation? Is it because you're dealing with another company? Given the amount of time we've devoted to your company, we'd like a satisfactory explanation." "It's just circumstances. Does your company need to know all the internal affairs just to cancel? Anyway, a cancellation is a cancellation, that's it." Oliver hung up abruptly before Johnson could argue back. Not only Johnson, but the rest of the team also showed their anger at Oliver's flippant attitude. Then Johnson turned to me. "Liam, I know you're tired, but get ready to go out. I'll be back from the president's office by then." What are you planning to do?" "It's obvious, isn't it? If he's determined to go through with this, then we need to make him understand. Now, get ready quickly." "Yes, right away." Urged by Johnson's serious and angry tone, I hurried to prepare for departure. As soon as Johnson returned, the two of us set off to a location he had directed. From the events that unfolded at that location, I quickly grasped the meaning behind Johnson's words and farts. The next day, Oliver stormed into my company with a fury akin to a raid. "Hey, where's that old man? Where did Liam go? Tell him to come out immediately." Upon arriving, Oliver began yelling at the receptionist in the lobby. Informed by an internal call for help from the receptionist, I immediately went down to the first floor to confront Oliver. "So you finally showed up. What the hell did you do?" Oliver, red-faced and breathing heavily, glared at me, but I wasn't intimidated or afraid. Knowing why he had barged in here, I was even less concerned. Thinking so, I kept my cool while facing Oliver. Well, starting off with quite the accusation. What do you mean by what did you do?" "Don't play dumb. You went to our rival company, Technoscience, for a deal, didn't you? And on top of that, you snitched to my company's president." Oliver's words made me immediately realize that Johnson's plan had worked. Indeed, on that day, Johnson had taken me to Technoscience, a rival of Sugar Manufacturing. Technoscience and our company had a transactional relationship, and having patented technology, I had often received their favor. Johnson decided to switch the deal to Technoscience and have them accept the prototype. Technoscience was very pleased with the prototype and agreed to a deal, wanting to utilize it. Regarding Oliver's accusation of snitching, it was more like Johnson had consulted with the president before heading to Technoscience. The president was shocked by Oliver's behavior and actions, including the refusal to accept a prototype, and became furious. "What a disgrace! Our company has built its reputation on trust over 30 years, and to think Sugar Manufacturing would engage in such careless business practices. We will cease all transactions with Sugar Manufacturing immediately." Our company had been highly regarded by many clients, including Sugar Manufacturing and Technoscience, for its meticulous work over 30 years. However, Oliver's careless attitude and the refusal to accept a prototype threatened to tarnish our company's reputation. Your irresponsible behavior in this transaction and the outright refusal to accept a prototype have angered the president greatly. Thus, the change to a deal with Technoscience and the cancellation of the contract were inevitable. Upon hearing this, Oliver exploded in anger like a kettle boiling over. "This is bullshit. I was just doing my job as I was told. Why does that warrant a transaction halt? Because of your damn president, I got disciplined and fired." After his outburst, Oliver shared the main reason he had barged in here. He explained what he had experienced at Sugar Manufacturing the day before. Oliver was suddenly called by the president of Sugar Manufacturing and was given a disciplinary dismissal. The reason was his arrogant behavior towards me during this transaction, and the responsibility for refusing the prototype. Oliver had caused several issues at Sugar Manufacturing due to his carelessness. But it turned out that one of the executives, his father, had helped him get the job through connections. Despite his father's influence and his credentials from a top university, Oliver's performance had prevented others from admonishing him too severely. However, this led Oliver to believe he could do as he pleased without consequences, which reflected in his behavior during this transaction. The refusal to accept a prototype was completely one-sided, simply because he disliked me, and he unabashedly stated, "I was just doing my job as told." This was the final straw for the president of Sugar Manufacturing, leading to Oliver's dismissal for causing the transaction to halt. Even his father, who had been a backbone for him, couldn't save him this time. His father too was disciplined and dismissed for allowing Oliver's misconduct. Regardless of the responsibility for mixing in defective products, getting our president angry enough to stop the transaction and then being fired for misconduct is entirely your own doing. Perhaps this will teach you to start over and relearn everything for reemployment. What the hell, you just wait and see. With steam practically shooting out of his head again, Oliver finally lunged at me in a fit of rage. However, soon after the commotion began, several security guards who had rushed to the scene effortlessly subdued Oliver before he could lay a hand on me, and escorted him out to the public. Additionally, the security had alerted the police, and by the time he was taken outside, a patrol car had arrived. What followed was a scene straight out of a TV show, ending with Oliver being taken away by the police. I won't forget that face of yours. Remember this, Liam. Before the patrol car drove away, Oliver, while being restrained by the police officers inside, managed to force his face out the window and left me with those parting words. Subsequently, the president of Sugar Manufacturing called our president, pleading for the resumption of business, explaining his firing of Oliver and his father for causing this monumental blunder. However, our president dismissed the notion that firing Oliver and his father would restore lost trust, firmly stating that the decision to cease all dealings remains unchanged before hanging up. Following that, Sugar Manufacturing fell into financial trouble due to the substantial damages claimed by our company, and the cancellations of projects triggered by this incident, leading to its inevitable bankruptcy. As for Oliver and his father, they were left with a huge debt from the damages, and further isolated by his mother's decision to disown them and file for divorce, plunging them into a life of poverty and utter isolation. Currently, they are living day to day, juggling multiple jobs to pay off debts and living expenses. Despite this, Oliver's pride remains intact, leading to a cycle of job changes and dismissals. Moreover, their constant blaming and loud arguments have caused complaints from the landlord and other tenants of their cheap apartment, hinting at an impending homelessness. As for me, I continue to enjoy a fulfilling life as a middle-aged professional, maintaining good relationships with Johnson and my other colleagues at work. While the 3 wasted years on Oliver do sting, I've chosen to view it as a lesson in sharpening my judgment and dealings with others. Reflecting on those 3 years as a learning expense, I vow to dedicate the remainder of my working years to the company and its future generations, ensuring such incidents don't recur. Approaching retirement, I believe there's still much I can offer, and even after leaving the company, that won't change. In essence, life doesn't end as long as you're alive. Believing in those words, I intend to live and strive each day as long as possible.